Divine Living Greetings. Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Alura. I am so very lucky to have you here and that you're watching. I hope that life is treating you well. I pray for all of you every single day with great hopes and intentions, that life is treating you kindly. So I received a message within my WhatsApp, and the person that had sent the message, was really upset, and it reminded me of a lot of other situations that I have come across that were very, very similar. And I thought, let's do a video about it and talk about it, because it is something, that a lot of people really should know. And what that topic was is anxiety, and empaths as well, because it does reflect on the life of an empath especially. So a lot of people are very sensitive to energy. Having empathy or intuition really isn't a psychic ability. You could use it as one if you learn how to tap into it or master it, but really everybody has it. And nowadays people are more open to energy just coming out of nowhere and hitting them, because they have a lot of worries on their mind, day to day. There are so many things that can just provide stress, and in that, it leaves them wide open and vulnerable. Your aura is like a divine egg just wrapping all around you. And while there are many layers, and then they connect to the spiritual centers, energy is flowing in, it's flowing out, you're connected to the environment through little streams, little cords that put you into this web or collective. The problem mainly is that when you become vulnerable, your aura isn't as strong. It really isn't. You could be a very high vibration, and then what happens is that, if you allow any of that other stuff in, stress, worries, fear, uncertainty, doubt, any of that, if you let that back in, it's going to affect one of the layers of the aura associated with those things first. And it acts like a domino effect. If you don't handle your stress and your worries, it's going to go from weakening that layer to the next, and then to the next. And then that leaves your aura wide open, And then everything that's in the atmosphere that's, unhealthy or toxic, it's going to kind of come right toward you, especially, in regards to similar energies to that of which you're feeling. Like attracts like. So it'll sit in the aura, and you may not notice it, and then all of a sudden you're feeling fatigued and tired, and your spiritual centers, they start to wind down. They start to lower their vibration and their ability, to flow that energy in and out, and that's how they become clogged. So what happens next is that the solar plexus is the largest of all spiritual centers, and it's going to go into overdrive. It will. And when it goes into overdrive, then you can bet that you're going to start absorbing a lot more energy, because that larger spiritual center is the only one working, and it's going to use all of its magnetic force to pull towards it energies that are reflective of that which you're suffering from. So after a while, you may start to feel better in your own mind, which could calm things down a lot emotionally, and then you dismiss, what you were struggling with the other day, and now you're out in public, and all of a sudden, you start to feel a little nervous again, or maybe you're sitting at work and, it comes out of nowhere, and you're thinking to yourself, I thought I dealt with this the other day. What's happening? Why am I still worried about these things, and stressing? I didn't even think about it. Well, it's subconscious for one, so you very well could be still thinking about it. It's just not in the surface of your conscious mind yet. Or because your solar plexus is so open and so much in overdrive, you could be absorbing a lot of anxieties and feelings of stress and fear that are coming from other people. And let's say you're around like 10 other people in a supermarket full of like 100, and those 10 people, are all feeling the same way. Now your aura is full of stress, worry, uncertainty, fear 10 times over. And that's not going to be visible right away. You'll feel it right away, but the impact, the result, the consequence of it, it's not going to show up right away. It's going to build over time because it's streaming in and out of the layers of the aura. So that means that it's going to come in emotionally. You may have moments where you just feel really depressed, and you feel like you can't pick yourself up and motivate yourself. Then all of a sudden, a week later, that's kind of subsided, and now it's your mind. Your mind is starting to think about, all these things, racing thoughts, all these worries, all these fears, and you're thinking very negatively. And it's going to flip-flop back and forth between that. And that's going to affect your spiritual energy because those two layers, working together make up that spiritual layer. They really, really do. So then you're going to feel kind of uninterested in your spiritual life. So a lot of people may also just get anxiety randomly, when they're at home alone. And when that occurs, you have to look at different factors. What set you off? What was going on at the time? Who were you around? Were you watching anything specific on television? Was there a song that came on the radio? There are so many things that can trigger something in the subconscious mind to produce a feeling within yourself. Yeah, so you could not even think about it, but produce a feeling that would have gone along with the thought, because the thought's still subconscious, but the emotion channeled through. So now you're feeling anxious, and you may not know about what at all. So you want to take a look and see, what in your environment may have triggered that. And then once you kind of pinpoint that, you'll know what that subconscious thought kind of pertains to in order to address it. And you want to address it through transcendental meditation. Now, if you can't find any triggers or anything that set you off or made you feel anxiety, then it may be, from the atmosphere. The human aura is so big, and we're all locked in. If you don't have a protection grid, let's say you live in an apartment building and you're in your apartment minding your own business, and your aura expands maybe 13 feet, and you're sitting against one wall where your sofa is, and you have your neighbor sitting on the next wall, and then you have somebody on the other side or down below. So let's say that their aura, the person sitting behind you, is a lot closer to the other person, that third party's, than yours is. It doesn't make a difference. What's going to happen is, because we're all interlocked in the collective, that person, that's 3 doors down, is going to have that energy kind of shift on over to the person that's 2 doors down, and then it's going to shift on over into your aura. So it kind of comes through like a chain. So you could be sitting there feeling all this anxiety and not know where it's coming from, and not even imagine or even come to think that it could be from a person that lives like 2 houses down or 2 doors down away. It just really, really does make a lot of sense. So everything connects. Like, somebody would say, well, how could somebody even 2 houses down, have their energy streaming on over to my home? It's a little bit of a distance away. But the trees, the grass, everything is interlocked in this collective. As long as there's something kind of in between the two of you that can be used, as that energy, that orb of consciousness that overlaps their orb of consciousness in this flower of life that we're in, it can just stream right on over and pass on through, especially if the walls of your aura or egg aren't strong, like I said, or protected. So empathy and anxiety, they really do go hand in hand, because if you have the ability to absorb energy and to feel what others feel, then you're definitely going to be, affected greatly. But it really does have a lot to do with the collective as well, and your own subconscious thoughts. Sometimes it may be you, and you just aren't looking deep enough. So how do you cope with the anxiety, whether it's yours or somebody else's? Well, what you want to do when it is yours is, like I said, go into transcendental meditation, face your issues with great strength, everything that you have been through has been for a great reason. It's just finding out what that reason was to turn the negatives into positives, to tell yourself, you didn't go through these things in vain. They had to have produced some kind of positive result in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it added to your character. Maybe it changed who you were into a better person through what you went through. Or maybe there was a situation that gave you great wisdom as you're looking back into your subconscious mind to the past. Or maybe there's something going on in your life today that you need to look at. Maybe you're attracting some kind of karmic energy because of some behavior or way about you that you don't realize yet that's associated with subconscious and shadow self. That happens all the time. Karma is always being collected, especially when a person isn't as self-aware. You make a lot of mistakes, you say a lot of things, and you can hurt a lot of people's feelings without even realizing it, just through sometimes just talking in a way that you think is a good way to express yourself, but to another person, their perception of how you're coming off may be very different. So it's all about understanding one another and learning how to come to the next person's level, especially in communication. But anxieties within yourself can come from the past. It can come from, definitely worries and fears that you're having now. And a person, really isn't in touch with the subconscious. You can sit there and tell yourself all day long, I'm strong, I can get through anything, I'm okay, I'm positive. And really deep down inside, you may not really fully believe that. And it's okay, because the more and more you tell yourself that, and you try to push the negativity and doubt and fears and all of those other negative feelings, out of your mind, eventually you will become stronger and stronger. But the only real way to gain that strength is to, face things that are creating the anxiety coming from yourself. If it is coming from someone else, the best thing to do is to try to protect yourself, safeguard. This environment is full of negativity. But maybe that thought floated into your aura and somehow transmutated into an energy that you felt, through anxiety in your solar plexus for a reason. Maybe there's something that you can do or say to help or contribute to that person's current condition. If you feel like it came from someone else and you might be able to pinpoint it, go over there and say something, tell them, hey, I'm feeling a little anxious and I thought of you for some reason. Are you feeling the same way? Just to kind of get in there without, attacking them like, hey, I know that spiritually you're anxious, I can feel it. You don't want to come off like that. But that may give them the open door to talk to you about things and get some things off their chest, and you can be that listening ear that they need. Additionally, if you are picking up on a lot of things, and again, like I said, you can't pinpoint it to yourself, and you don't know where it's coming from, just don't feed into it. But thoughts are a powerful thing. Thoughts can float in from anywhere. They can come into your aura. They go into the consciousness through that cycle of that flow into the spiritual centers and aura and so on. And you could even end up having thoughts, that you never really would have had to begin with, that definitely aren't you. And a lot of people say that I have different thoughts, I don't know where they come from. Well, maybe they're not yours, or maybe they are. And that's why being so self-aware is so important, so that you can differentiate between these things and know exactly how to work with it and use it.